Welcome to this deep dive explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because we are embarking on a truly incredible journey. We're going to look at three completely distinct tales of human survival, ingenuity, and deeply buried secrets. We'll be pulling from some fascinating historical research, archaeological data, and we'll even break down a modern cinematic thriller just to explore how humanity faces the absolute unknown. Prepare to have your mind completely blown by the lengths people will go to in order to survive and the incredible mysteries they leave behind.
Here is our roadmap for today's journey. Number 1. India's first human survivors. Number 2. The mystery of Konark Temple. And number 3. Flight to the Amazon.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. India's first human survivors. Surviving the prehistoric wild. Now, I want you to imagine a dense, wild landscape ruled by massive beasts, like the 10-foot tusked stegodon. Every single day was a battle. But the ultimate test? It wasn't predators. It was a literal cataclysm. So how did early humans possibly survive an apocalypse, like the Toba supervolcano eruption? I mean, this event blocked out the sun, covered India in toxic ash, and wiped out not just those colossal beasts, but many of the early hominins who relied on them. To really grasp this, we have to look at the epic scale of human migration. About 1.5 million years ago, Homo erectus arrived in India, and we actually know this because of ancient tools found in Atirambakam near Chennai. But then, 74,000 years ago, that catastrophic Toba supervolcano erupted. Homo erectus, with their massive high-energy bodies, they just couldn't survive this new, freezing, resource-scarce world. But from those ashes, a new chapter began. Around 65,000 years ago, a new wave of survivors, Homo sapiens, arrived via a coastal route from Africa, eventually taking refuge in the natural stone fortresses of the Bhimbetka caves. So, what gave Homo sapiens the edge? Well, it all came down to a massive technological upgrade. Homo erectus relied on these heavy, pear-shaped stone hand axes. Great for slow prey? Sure, but totally useless when you're suddenly forced to chase fast, small game. Homo sapiens, on the other hand, they brought what was essentially a prehistoric missile upgrade, microliths. These were tiny, razor-sharp stone blades that they attached to wood and bone to create arrows and spears. It meant they could strike fast prey from a safe distance, which completely changed the game. Basically, they had this ingenious sapiens survival kit. They didn't just survive, they totally innovated. They kept fires at cave entrances, like prehistoric security systems against predators. They used those microlith arrows for precision hunting. They developed a shared economy, ensuring that if one hunter failed, the group still ate. And this is wild. They even used massive ostrich eggshells as water bowls. We've actually found 25,000-year-old fragments of these in Maharashtra. Plus, they ground up red ochre to paint their stories on cave walls, literally sparking the dawn of human culture. Section 2. Mystery of Konark Temple. Peak engineering and ancient secrets. While our early ancestors fought nature to survive, centuries later, humans mastered nature to build the impossible. Everything about this 13th century marvel revolves around one number, 12. And the staggering sacrifices behind it are just unbelievable. King Narasimhadeva I spent 12 years of his state's revenue to fund it. It took 1,200 master craftsmen exactly 12 years to build it. But here is the tragic kicker. When those 1,200 master craftsmen couldn't figure out how to place the final capping stone, a 12-year-old boy named Dharmapada outsmarted them all and solved the puzzle. Then, to protect the craftsmen's pride and save their lives from the king's wrath, he took a fatal leap into the river below. The temple itself was designed as a colossal chariot for the sun god, and it holds this mind-blowing cosmic code. Check this out. It features 24 stone wheels representing the months of the year and the hours of the day. Each wheel has 16 spokes, 8 large, 8 small, which actually act as a hyper-accurate sundial. You can literally read the time down to a stunning 3-minute precision just by looking at the shadows. And it's pulled by 7 carved horses representing the days of the week and the 7 colors of visible light. Keep in mind, this was built some 400 years before Isaac Newton published his theory on the light spectrum. Absolutely incredible. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer physics miracle they pulled off 800 years ago. Inside the main sanctum, the central idol of the sun god, which was made of an 8-metal alloy, didn't sit on a pedestal. It levitated, literally in midair. The builders achieved this by creating a massive diamagnetic field. They placed a gargantuan 52-ton lodestone magnet at the temple's peak and then layered the stone walls with iron plates and clamps. This precise magnetic tension held that heavy idol suspended in absolute nothingness. But as you might guess, this incredible engineering feat became a massive, deadly hazard. By the 16th and 17th centuries, Portuguese sailors navigating the Bay of Bengal came to fear the temple so much that they gave it a terrifying nickname, the Black Pagoda. That 52-ton magnet at the peak was so incredibly powerful that its field reached out into the ocean, violently disrupting the compasses of passing European ships. It pulled them completely off course, causing devastating, deadly shipwrecks all along the rocky coast. So, to save their fleets, those Portuguese sailors allegedly raided the temple and yanked out that massive central magnet. But here's the problem. That magnet was the keystone holding the temple's intricate iron lock system together. Without it, the walls lost their tension, and the grand structure began to collapse. Fast forward to 1903. Fearing a total cave-in, British Lieutenant Governor J.A. Bordelin ordered the main assembly hall to be entirely filled with sand and permanently sealed. It has remained a dark, sealed mystery for over 120 years. In fact, right now, today in 2025, the Archaeological Survey of India and IIT Madras are carefully drilling into the temple to assess the settled sand and finally unlock the secrets of the sanctum.
Section 3. Flight to the Amazon, Modern Deception and Greed. But what happens when the fight for survival is corrupted by modern greed?
Let's shift gears to a cinematic contrast. Imagine a small passenger plane crashing deep in the uncharted Amazon. 8 people survive, and there is absolutely zero cell signal. But looking at their hidden secrets, almost no one is who they claim to be. Jack claims to be an insurance guy. Yeah, he's actually undercover investigating a drug ring. Christy says she's just a traveler, but she's a hardened investigative reporter. Danny, the sweet romantic honeymooner, is a former gang getaway driver. And Kevin, supposedly in medical sales, is actually a completely ruthless doctor. In this jungle, the web of lies is way thicker than the canopy. And if you thought your last flight was rough, just wait. The survivors quickly realize the crash was no accident at all. The tension just skyrockets as a calculated sabotage sequence unfolds. First, the plane is mysteriously diverted off course, followed by a total GPS failure. Then, the night after the crash, the injured pilot, who clearly knew the truth, is smothered in his sleep. Next, the group's highly limited food supply is deliberately laced with toxic blue mushrooms found in the jungle. And just when they manage to fix an emergency distress beacon, someone secretly cuts the wire. It becomes obvious. Someone among them wants them all dead.
Then, a heavy rainstorm collapses a damaged section of the plane's roof. And this brilliantly illustrates the core motive behind all the madness. Hidden in the ceiling is millions of dollars in smuggled drugs. This whole time, the cheap airline was actually a massive cartel smuggling operation. The killer among the survivors deliberately caused the crash to hijack the shipment, and now they are systematically eliminating the witnesses so they can keep the fortune all to themselves.
Paranoia completely fractures the group as the killer sets a terrifying, relentless pace. Just look at this timeline. On day 1, the pilot is murdered in his sleep. Day 2, David succumbs to the poisoned food. Day 3, Carlos, the wrestler, is stabbed in the dark. Day 4, Lisa is ambushed and stabbed during a rainstorm. Day 5, the runaway couple, Danny and Amy, are gunned down right in the forest. The body count is just relentlessly climbing, which sets the stage for an intense cliffhanger climax. The distress signal finally goes through, and a Mexican Army helicopter approaches the crash site. But on the ground, only 3 highly suspicious survivors remain. We've got Jack, the falsely accused undercover investigator, Christy, the fiercely observant reporter who has now armed herself, and Kevin, the doctor whose sheer desperation led him to brutally torture Jack for a satellite phone password. One of them is the mastermind killer, and the rescue chopper is literally minutes away.
So, what does this all mean? From the literal ashes of a prehistoric volcanic winter to the sealed magnetic curse of an ancient temple, right up to a fictional jungle killer driven by millions in hidden drugs, human history, both real and imagined, is absolutely defined by our intense will to endure. So I leave you with this final provocative question. When the rules of society are completely stripped away and you are pushed to the absolute edge, what would you do to survive the unknown? Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries around you.